It is always frustrating to copy the files from multiple folders to the single folder, files from multiple cluster of folders to a single folder. I ended up with the situation when I exported my Google Photos. In your case, it could be different, but keep watching this video if you're finding for the solution to automate a task like this. Let's understand the problem that I was talking about. So the screen you see is the folder structure that I have. I have exported the photos from Google, and that has brought me multiple folders. The one you see here is taken out to till taken 19, and if I dig deep down, it has a different folder structures, and the files are at the end, at the very end of the folder. If I want, let me show you take out 9. It has a similar folder structure. It has 2019 and the files are at the very end. So similarly, all the folders have the files at the very end. So if you want to know what are the photos that I have for 2020, I have to go all the way down to watch to see those particular photos. So but the problem here is 2020 is not just in taken of 13, it's there in taken out 12, it's there in taken out 6, so it's everywhere. So this is the clustered photo. So the idea here is to move the files from all these folders to one single folder here. So that's what we're going to automate in this video. So yeah, let's see how to do that. Okay, you need a couple of things to automate this particular task. Number one, you need Python to be installed in your machine. So if you don't have Python installed, please download Python and set it up. You can get the Python from here. If you are a Mac OS or Windows OS, install the Python version here and continue with your setup. And then secondly, I use PyCharm for writing the Python code. If you are having a different IDE, you can stick with that. If you have Eclipse, or if you have even a notepad that you use for writing your code, you can very well stick with that. So for your purpose, you can download the community version. You don't have to go to the professional version. Just stick with the community version, that would suffice. So let's open the community version of the PyCharm and start writing the code to automate this particular task. Alright, firstly, I have the code which I tried and implemented this concept, but for this tutorial purpose, let's start a new project and write the code again for your understanding. So to create a new project, once you open the PyCharm, go to File and then create a new project. You can name this as File Copy Demo. You can name it whatever you want for your use case. So I'm going to click Create and I'm going to use a new window. If you are creating it for the first time, you won't get a new window option. You will straight away get a page like this. So firstly, we don't want any of this. You can clear all these things and get rid of everything. Let's start from the first. So the first thing that we need in order to automate this concept, the idea is very simple. Move the files from the parent folder to the child folder. So you have to define the parent folder and the child folder as a first step. So let me create a comment on what we're going to do here as a first step. So create parent folder and child folder. Okay, or let's name it as target folder. Parent folder and the target folder. Okay, so we are going to create that, and let me comment this out, and this is what we're going to do. So in order to save the path of the folders, you need to create a variable. Let's create the parent as parent. You can name it whatever you want, but follow the name till the end of the code. So you can call the parent folder here, and then you can call the target folder. Okay, so you need to define the folders here. So the parent folder, in my case, you have to get the path for the folder. The parent folder, in my case, if I go here and get the path. So since I'm in Mac, this is coming using the Finder, and you may be, if you're on a Windows, you can use maybe an Explorer. So I'm sticking with the Finder, and you know how to get the path for the folders that you are targeting. So this is the parent folder. That's where all my files are. So if you're on a Mac, just press the Option key and then right click, and that will give you an option to copy the path. Simply copy the path and move back to your code and paste your parent folder here, and then we need to get the target folder, the path for the target folder. The target folder in our use case is Google Photos, right? Just click on that, click on option, and then right click, and that would give you a copy Google Photo as path. Now come back here and paste the folders here, paste the path here. So that's it, we are set with that. And the next challenge we're going to do is to iterate through the files, iterate through the folders and get the file names. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. So basically this is iterate the folder and files, okay, to get the hold of the file access. So let's see how to do that. So firstly, in order to do this, you go with the for loop, and there are two libraries that you need to import. So first is import the OS, which gives the access to all the folders. You can manipulate your folders using the OS with this. Okay, so you have to iterate it through for loop. So in OS there is a default format that you can use. Let me go through that with the OS itself. So let's say os.walk in Python. So this is the library we are going to use throughout this tutorial. So here you go, we have os.walk. So as you can see, the os.walk by default gives tuples, 3 tuples, a tuple with 3 values in it. One is root, directories, and then files. This is exactly what we're going to do in our file. So let's print each of them and see what are all this. Okay, so you can implement the same root, directories, files in os.walk, and we're gonna give the path as parent folder, and then the top down as true. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do, and then let's print to understand what each of this. So I'm explaining you all this because you should know what you are doing. If you want to make any changes, you know how to do that as well. So that's the reason we are doing this. So let's print each of this and understand what it prints. Okay, cool. Let me add a pointer here, and then till here. Okay, just this enough. Let's do the debug and go to console. Let's step over on it. You can see the root is nothing but the folder till the folder path. So if I go from so if I go from here, the Google Photos, and then so this is the root folder that this points. And secondly, if I go over the directories, so these are all the directories that this has. So this particular root has the directories like this, and if you go further down, the files, and it has a couple of files in it. Okay, so if I go further down, the next root is taken 17, and then this is the directory in it. So basically, if you have a file here, anywhere within the folder, you may have a file here or file here. So all the blue ones are folders, and the rest of the things are files. So if you have a file here, the root is nothing but taken, let's say the root is nothing but Google, these Google Photos, the one you say this is the root, and that's the first thing we saw, like these Google Photos, right? And the subdirectories are this, and then the files within that is form 26. So if you have a file here, the root for that would be taken out, and then the directory would be Google Photos, and the files would be the file's name. So that's how it considers. So basically it gives access to the files, directories, and the root, and you can do whatever you want. So let's keep a habit of printing this and understand, but let's get deep into our main topic. So far we did the iteration, iterating the folders and files. We got access to the files. So the next thing we need to do is to get the names, unique file types of the available root. So the reason we are doing this is that sometimes we don't want to copy all the files we want to exclude certain files. So in order to do that, we need to know what are all the file types that these folders contain. So in this tutorial, we are not actually copy pasting all the files. We are also getting understanding of what are all the file types that we have. So in order to do that, let's iterate through the name in files. So we are going to use this files as it prints all the files, and then we're going to see if, because as you know, the files as the dot extension, right? So it has the extension is at the end followed by the name. So this is the name of the file and this is the extension. It's a .pdf. So we need to see if the name as dot, okay, if the name does not have any extension, but predominantly all the files as the extension. So this is just a piece of condition I added. If there is a dot in the name, then store that in a list by splitting the dot. Okay, so we are splitting the dot, and then the reason here we are splitting that is, let's say the name has multiple dots, and it will split that into different words and store this in a list like this. And now we are going to get the end, the last part of that particular text. Okay, so that's an empty string we are joining with. So in X, we just want the last part. The -1 is the last item in the above list. So the example here is, for example, how this works is, let's say the file name is john.peter.mr.pdf. okay, so if the file name has something like this, and the one we are focusing is the extension type, which is at the very end of the name. So we don't want the rest of the names, we're only capturing the file types. So what this X does, it would store John comma Peter comma, so it will store something like that, John comma Peter comma Mr comma PDF. It will store everything by splitting the dot. And what this user does, it picks the last value in the list, so it picks only the PDF and stores that in the user. Okay, so that's what it does. So now let's get rid of this one. I hope that explains what is this. So in order to save this in a variable, we're going to use the set. The reason I went with set is because it does not store the duplicate values. Let's say we have thousands of image files. I don't want images printed thousands of times. Okay, if the image is already there, just skip that. So that's why we're going to define a set at the global level. So let's say file underscore type types underscore, let's say types underscore available equals set. Yeah, so this is the file, this is the set variable that I'm defining. So I'm going to save all the file types to this variable using the add. So we use add keyword to store the values. So this would store all the file types, unique values. Let's say this iteration might have thousands of images, but images will be saved only once. So because set does not allow the duplicate values. Okay, so now we are done this part. Let's print and see what are the file types that I have. Let's go print file types available, right? Let me run, and we don't want this anymore. Let's get rid of that. Let me run this, stop and rerun. So as you can see, these are all the file types I have in all these folders. You can see there's one PDF here, and the PDF type is captured as well. It's unordered, it's not ordered. Next time if you print, it will be in a different order, but that doesn't matter. We have all the file types. So in order to get the total file types that you have, you just add the length with Iterate. I think that's overwhelming if I go with that. So but I'm just giving you an example. So this would count how many what total number of file types that you have. We have 12 different file types in this folder. Okay, so let me keep only the file types. I don't want the count for now. Let's get rid of that. All right, let's jump into the next part of this code development. all the file types. We are not excluding any file types. We understood what are the file types that we have, which are basically all these file types. We are going to move everything into one single folder. Right now this folder is empty, but we're going to pull all the files to this folder. That's what we're going to do. So let's see how to do that. You have to use OS for this. Let's say we have to build a source path. Okay, so the source path, the source folder is os dot, I'll tell you what it means, dot join the root comma name. As you know, when you printed the root printed, for example from here, the root printed, in order to copy this file, the root is these Google Photos, right? And the file name is this. So in order to get the path for the file, you need to combine the root folder path plus you need to combine the file name. So we have root, and we also need to join the name. So that would be like the path for this, which is nothing but right click, copy, let me paste it here, and this is what it would print. So these photos slash, so it didn't print properly here, but it's user, my name, photos, these photos form 26.pdf. So that's what it prints. So that's the part we are forming here. And then the next thing is you need to copy. Okay, so in order to copy, we are going to use another library in Python, which is shuttle. So using shuttle, you're going to copy the file from the parent folder to the root folder. Okay, so you're going to copy this one to the target folder, so from the parent folder to target folder, sorry. So this is what you're going to do. So now we are all done, right? But there's one more thing I want to know. I want to know how many files I'm copying. So if you want to know the total, you can go here and then you can add total underscore files plus equals 1, and you can define this variable as variable here as 0. Let's say total underscore files equals 0, right? And this would print the total file names. Okay, so let me print that here. Print total available files are total files. All right, so now the interesting part, the part where we were waiting for, this is now empty. So let's wait and see how it copies. So I'm going to run the code. It's going to take a while, maybe 5 minutes. It won't be 5 minutes because I tried this folder. In your case, you may have thousands of folders. Okay, let's give it some time until it finishes executing this part. Okay, meanwhile I'll explain what we're going to do next. So now we have copied all the files, and next we're going to see how to copy the files except the ones that we don't want, right? As you have seen, it printed 12 file types, but what if we don't want all the file types to be copied, and how to ignore the certain file types? So that's what we're going to see next. We're just going to add a variable and put extensions in it that we don't want, and then copy only the ones that we think are worth copying. Okay, so we're going to exclude the others. Let's wait until it does the copying part. As you can see, already we have the files here. It was empty before. Now we have the files copying one by one, right? And it's all done. So totally 57,000 files were copied in a fraction of a second. So if you imagine if you're doing this manually, it's highly impossible, or you won't do that, or you would spend whole day in doing that activity, right? So this is how fast the automation, if you do it in an automation way. Let's see the final part, how to avoid the files that we don't want. Right, so we're going to see how to copy the files except the ones listed below. So in order to do that, let's see what are the file types that we can skip. Basically, I'm not interested in JSON files, because if I look at here, I have plenty of JSON files. I don't want any of this JSON file. It doesn't make sense for me to have a JSON file in a photos folder. So let me get rid of this folder first. Let me move to the bin and create a new folder. Okay, it's gonna take some time. Meanwhile, let's come back here and write the code for that. Okay, so I want to avoid, let me create a variable called avoid equals, and I want to put that in a tuple. I want to avoid JSON dot JSON. Okay, I want to avoid this, and then I'm going to keep the rest. So what's the condition we're going to add here? So if not name ends with one of this, anything that is on this tuple, you can add any number of files, all those files will be avoided. Let's add one more for this demo purpose. Let me add .heic. Okay, let's avoid .heic as well, and then the rest of the things are going to be same. Basically all this you're going to repeat, copy, and then paste it here. For now, I'm going to comment this. In your use case, if you want it, you can keep it. You don't have to write any avoid if you want to copy all the files. So let's see if the files are deleted. Okay, it's still deleting. Okay. Say delete. Okay, maybe let's create a new folder. Let that delete in the background, because it has 57,000 of files and even MacBook couldn't handle that. So let me add Google Photos _2. So it's the same folder, but just the name is different. We have _2 here. Let's move the files here, and to do the change I need to modify the file name _2. Okay, so this time we are going to avoid these two file types and copy the rest of the things. Let me run. Let me go back here. It's going to take some time. So this is the idea. So if you have anything to do with the files and copying files, I hope this video helped in some way. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask the question. And if you really like the idea of this type of automation, let me know if you feel like automating any of your tasks. I'll see if I can figure that out and post in another video. And if you want to know more about folder movements, please ask in the comments. I'll see if I can automate that and show it to you in the next video as well. So hope you liked it. I'm just waiting for the folder to get reflected with our new files. As you can see, we have all the files copied except the ones that we don't want. So you can see there is no JSON file and there is no HEIC file. So it's still processing. It's gonna finish soon. So we are skipping those two files and we are copying the rest. So I hope you get the idea of how to do that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks. So yeah, that's the end. You got the files. Cool. So we got everything that we want. Thanks again for watching this video. Cheers. Bye.